today is an occasion for us to pay a visit to a once again renewed popular idea called modern monetary theory. We should put modern in quotation marks because it's a very old idea, thousands of years old if the truth be told, but once again it is being presented as new. And it is this. It is the idea that governments can spend as much as they want, and to pay for it they simply print the cash. They create the money because, of course, the bank which they own, in our case the Bank of Canada, has a monopoly on the creation of that currency, so why not just create more money in order to spend it? The only limit on the amount that can be spent is when said money creation leads to inflation, at which point modern monetary theorists say the solution is to simply raise taxes in order to reduce the demand that was driving up the inflation in the first place. So once that printed money, too much of it starts chasing too few goods, the government taxes the money back and slows down the inflation. So effectively, it is a roundabout way to massively expand government up front while claiming there's no cost, and then when prices spiral out of control, to try and tax them back into submission. Now, this government, this finance minister has claimed she doesn't believe in modern monetary theory, but we have to suspect that she believes in some version of it, because she has imposed literally no limit whatsoever on her spending in the form of a fiscal anchor. The only difference between her version of monetary theory and its original theorists is that the original proponent said the bank should simply give the money to the government in order to spend, whereas under the current model this government has set up, the bank sells the debt to the marketplace and then buys it right back at a higher price only weeks later, to the great profit of the investors with whom they carried out that transaction. Now, all this sounds magical, creating something from nothing. But as it has been said, there is nothing new except what is forgotten. I quote Reinhardt and Rogoff, two Harvard professors that have studied 800 years of debt crises, and they say, and I quote, "Early on across the world, as already noted, the main device for defaulting on government obligations was that of debasing the content of the coinage. Modern currency presses are just a technologically advanced and efficient approach to achieving the same end." Perhaps the most creative of all of the modern monetary theorists was the Emperor Dionysius from 2,500 years ago. He thought it was a modern idea then, too. He was the dictator of the city-state of Syracuse. And of course, because of all of his sumptuous living and his ridiculous war fighting, he needed cash. So he took the drachmas from his people, and every one drachma he stamped with a 2. And all of a sudden, he had twice as much money.
The honourable member for Kingston and the Islands.
I just want to know, Madam Speaker, if there's going to be a test on this history lesson afterwards, and if I should be expecting that to come when the member's done.
Hardly a point of order. The honourable member for Carleton.
Well, the test has been running for 4 years now, and they've been getting an F year after year after year. So, yes, indeed. But Dionysius, he gets an A for creativity. He took 1 drachma coins, stamped them with 2, and all of a sudden had twice as much money. But of course, all of the workers of his city-state were earning half as much in real terms, because everything costs twice as much when you double the amount of currency in circulation. Throughout the Napoleonic Wars, the exact same thing happened. The amount of silver in the average coin dropped by 2/3 during Napoleon's reign, because all of the emperors and kings were trying to debase their coinage in order to fund their wars. And of course, their people became much poorer because their money did not go as far. And then the most recent and most extreme case was that of Germany in the immediate aftermath of the First World War. After the war was done, there was 10 times as much paper currency in circulation as immediately before the war. The result was hyperinflation. People needed wheelbarrows to carry their cash off to the baker in order to buy just 1 loaf of bread. And if you went to the bar to get a beer, You ordered all of your evening's drinks at once, because if you even waited a few hours, the beer would be more expensive. So it was a good investment to load up your table right when you got there, immediately after work, in order to save a fortune on inflation. Now, we're told that that inflation will never happen here. All these things about printing money causing inflation, that's old thinking. Remember, history doesn't repeat itself, Madam Speaker, except that it's already repeating itself. Let's start with housing prices. From December 2019, the last month before COVID started to circulate in Canada, to March 2021, the average house went from $518,000 to $716,000. A massive 38% increase in a time when the economy dropped by $120 billion. So the economy goes down, but somehow housing prices go up. Lumber prices are up 118%. Here's a quote from a contractor. "Oh, it's ridiculous. A 2x4 used to be $3.50. Now they're going for $9.80. A sheet of plywood was $12 2 years ago. Now it's $56. Here's a quote from the Financial Post just yesterday. Central bank and government out of touch with Main Street when it comes to the rising cost of living. The latest Canada's food price report shows that food costs increased by 2.7% last year, with an expected 4.5 to 6.5% increase in meat, 3.5 to 5.5% increase in bakery, and 4.5 to 6.5 increase in vegetables. Gas prices, well, they've gone from 78 cents a liter to $1.18 a liter. So all of these things are rising vastly more than the target of the Bank of Canada. And what's interesting about the Bank of Canada is I asked about the core rate of inflation when the governor of the bank appeared at the Finance Committee not so long ago. And he said, well, don't worry about core inflation. We only worry about CPI. Well, I'll tell you something. I have a prediction. This month, CPI will be way above the 2% target. And I make another prediction, that the Bank of Canada will suddenly say, oh, don't worry about CPI, we use core inflation. So whatever is lowest is the measurement that they use. But here's the consequence of all of these numbers. When governments print money, they drive up the price of two things. One, the things that the rich own. And two, the things that everyone else buys. So if you are a millionaire mansion owner, you're getting extremely rich. Your house is making a lot more money than you are. You're sitting in your rocking chair and cash is just falling out of your attic on your head. But if you are a working class person who rents in order to have a roof overhead, your rent is going up, your food is going up, your gas is going up, everything you buy is going up, except your wages are not, and guess what? That dream of owning a house, it's getting further and further away because of asset price inflation. So what we actually have is a government that claims it's doing all of this deficit spending to help the less fortunate, are actually carrying out one of the largest wealth transfers from the working class to the super rich, from the have-nots to the have-yachts in Canadian history. The solution to this is to control the spending, unleash free market production, replace the credit card economy with a paycheck economy, and restore the principle of sound money, so that the dollars that people earn are worth what they're supposed to be worth, and that people get ahead through their labor and their effort, not through their privilege and their aristocracy. Thank you.
Questions and